स्टार्ट है? उसी सेम उस पे सेम लिंक? तो फिर वो लिंक वी हैव टू सेंड ना। आप एक बार मैम को ही बोल देना वो लिंक स्टूडेंट्स को भेजनी है। जो नेक्स्ट लिंक है मुझे भी भेजो।
पहली क्लास में 2 पार्ट हो गए।
अभी मुझे मत बताओ, अभी कुछ मत बोलो, फिर मैं क्लास के बाद बात करता हूँ। भेजिए। ठीक है। आवाज आ रही है उसमें, देखना चेक करना। द पीपल ऑनलाइन, कैन यू हियर? देयर वाज आई थिंक अ स्मॉल हिकअप, आई जस्ट रिपीट व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग। आई जस्ट इज द स्लाइड विजिबल एंड जस्ट मेंशन अ हाई, तो वी कैन स्टार्ट। आ रही है? ठीक है। Okay, I'll just take 1 minute more. I'll again recap for those of you who may have missed this. Plus, there will be some confusions, okay, in the terms that I've used. So, if you just allow me 5 or 6 more minutes, you will get to know what these are. Now, one by one, we'll again repeat everything. Number one, what was environment? Environment was everything that is surrounding me. In my surroundings, I can have biotic as well as abiotic factors. Examples of biotic factors very quickly. Animal plants, मतलब autotrophs. कंज्यूमर्स, अभी मैं हेट्रोट्रॉफ्स नहीं बोल रहा हूं, मैं आगे बोलूंगा, ठीक है। तो वी हैव सिंपल प्लांट्स हु मेक द फूड बाय अ प्रोसेस नोन एज फोटोसिंथेसिस, ठीक है। प्रकाश संश्लेषण सुना होगा, ठीक है, आसान, ठीक है। फोटोसिंथेसिस हो गया। दूसरा कंज्यूमर्स, तीसरा डिकम्पोजर्स। एग्जाम्पल बताओ डिकम्पोजर्स के, ठीक है। बैक्टीरिया, फंगस, अभी के लिए इतना काफी है। आगे we'll also see how they are different, what they are, okay. In fact, science में भी this is again a very favorite topic. Bacteria, virus, fungus पे they always ask questions. So that is environment. What is ecology? Logy is study. It is the study of either environment या फिर it is the study of interactions that are happen in the between biotic abiotic factors. Very simple terms. There is auto as well as syn ecology. Auto is one single species. What is syn? Multiple species, okay. Then we have also seen what are the components. अब आते हैं इस पे लेवल्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ठीक है। स्टार्ट कैसे करेंगे? इंडिविजुअल्स, पॉपुलेशन, कम्युनिटी, इकोसिस्टम, बायोम, बायोस्फीयर। अब एक एक करके। इंडिविजुअल इज व्हाट? सिर्फ सिंगल, एनी वन। फॉर आवर सेक वी वांटेड टू जस्ट रिमेंबर हियर ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड। एंड बाय द वे, मैंने क्या बोला था, ये और भी जगह पाया जाता है, डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड। आई एम सेइंग इट इज मोस्टली फाउंड इन डेजर्ट नेशनल पार्क, ओके। चलो एक होमवर्क आपके लिए, लिखना ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड, स्टार मार्क लगाओ, लिखो प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन 2020 अनदर फैक्ट फॉर यू, ग्रेट इंडियन बस्टर्ड वाज द मैस्कॉट ऑफ COP13 which is the convention of migratory species. ये गांधीनगर में हुआ था। जस्ट एक लाइन लिख लो अभी, जस्ट इफ यू वांट टू राइट। ये सारी चीजें आई डिक्टेट वेरी शॉर्टली। I just said great Indian bustard was, or first thing you have to see is the previous question. You'll see the depth of detail they've asked you. Second thing you can just write GIB was the mascot. Mascot, you know, for different fests, things, sometimes a very cute kind of an animal they make as a mascot. Generally, the idea is to make it more popular among the people. कोई अच्छा mascot याद आ रहा है? Olympics में in every 4 years there is a mascot. हाँ ठीक है ठीक है. So you just write down अभी COP13 और CMS जरूर लिखना. CMS is known as convention. So you can write down it was a mascot of COP13 under the convention of migratory species. सी हाँ हम लोग राजस्थान वाले ही कर रहे हैं डिस्कस, डोंट वरी, अभी पूरा आई जस्ट अगेन रिपीट दैट. ठीक है, अब देखो एक कंफ्यूजन दिमाग में आएगा कि सर आपने अभी COP29 बताया, ठीक, और अभी बताया COP13, क्या ये दोनों सेम है? दोनों सेम नहीं है. अभी इन द फर्स्ट क्लास आई एम टेलिंग यू, बट अगेन इन ऑलमोस्ट आई थिंक 16th or 17th क्लास वी विल सी कन्वेंशंस का थीम. ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू हैव 4 or 5 फ्रेंड्स, व्हाट वुड यू प्रेफर, अ कंबाइंड पार्टी और यू वांट पार्टीज फ्रॉम ईच ऑफ देम? सबसे ठीक. तो इन्वायरमेंट में भी देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ कन्वेंशन, सबकी अपनी पार्टी होती है. सो यूनाइटेड नेशंस फ्रेमवर्क कन्वेंशन ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज UNFCCC की COP है, वो न्यूज में है. COP29 अजरबैजान बाकू, वो क्लाइमेट चेंज से रिलेटेड है. दिस इज रिलेटेड टू माइग्रेटरी स्पीशीज. दोनों की COPs अलग हैं, अभी शायद नहीं समझ में आ रहा होगा. एज वी मूव अलोंग देयर विल बी सर्टेन टॉपिक्स, हर एक की पार्टी अलग होती है. ठीक है, तो we'll just know that. Now coming back, you have an individual, single, population, more of them. Community में क्या होगा? It is not only the great Indian bustard, और भी कुछ होंगे organisms, जैसे कि कुछ भी आप सोच लो इसमें, rats, dogs, बिल्ली, जो सब कुछ हो सकता है यहाँ पे साथ में. Community, I said, it can be major, it can be minor. अब ये I'll explain. A major community, okay, is one that is sufficient on its own. It only needs sunlight. Minor community is dependent on somebody else, generally a major community. ठीक है, तो एक मेजर है, माइनर है. मेजर क्या हुआ? Why are they major? Why are they dominant? Because they are only dependent on sun. They don't depend on any other source. Whereas minor means हो सकता है वहां पे pollen grains कहीं और से आ रहे हो. They get the seeds dispersed from some other area, etc. So that is a minor community. Okay. So it is dependent on communities from outside also. That is one. Now you get this. अब आप कहोगे इकोसिस्टम. फॉर दिस एग्जाम्पल अवर इकोसिस्टम इज डेजर्ट नेशनल पार्क, इस एग्जाम्पल में. बट आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट ओनली नेशनल पार्क्स कैन बी एन इकोसिस्टम. An ecosystem can be this class also, an ecosystem can be a tree also, an ecosystem can be a big protected area also. Many things an ecosystem can be. That I will just explain in a moment. But for this example, the ecosystem is जो भी area हमारे what we want to study. Okay, that is that. Okay. Now ecosystem, when I defined, I had mentioned two terms, structural and functional. These two terms are so important that the entire, let's say, one lecture will be only based on these two terms. To make this very easy to you, I'll give you two examples. Now, I have said it is a structural part and a functional part of biosphere. Structural में समझते हैं. Right now we are in a class. This is where I can speak. There is a podium. You have your seats. There is a structured way of arrangement. ठीक है, कैन आई यूज द टर्म स्पीशीज फॉर अस? वी आर होमो सेपियंस फॉर एग्जांपल. सो होमो सेपियंस में भी लेट्स से इफ आई एम स्टैंडिंग हियर, यू हैव अ वे कि आपको यहीं बैठना है अभी यहाँ पे. ठीक है, हाँ ये मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ वहीं बैठना. आप कहोगे नहीं सर हम अभी आके दिखाते हैं सामने, हो बिल्कुल हो सकता है. ठीक है, इन अ सिमिलर मैनर, फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स थिंक अबाउट एनी इकोसिस्टम. हम सोच रहे किसी फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम. लेट्स इमेजिन अ फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम. इन अ फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम देयर विल बी स्मॉल shrubs, some bigger herbs, some small trees, some bigger trees and some tall trees, right? This is a structure. In coming classes we'll also see ये जो चीजें हैं इनको क्या हम बोलते हैं? कैनोपी. ओके, जैसे हमने देखा होगा बाहर कोका कोला इन सब की ना कोचिंग, दे हैव अ कैनोपी दैट इज अ स्ट्रक्चर. इन अ सिमिलर वे we can also visualize trees like that. In fact ये टर्म आया यहीं से है. So there is a structure in which the trees are arranged, and based on that different birds, insects, etc. will move, right? In a similar way, let's imagine a pond or a river. ठीक है, यहां पे जैसे ये हो गया pond, ये मान लीजिए ये सन है, sunlight है, these are the top layers, middle layers, and this is the bottom of the ocean. Okay, here also there are some species, okay, like phytoplankton. Don't worry what this term is, I'll tell you later. या फिर कुछ यहाँ पे मान लीजिए frogs हैं, यहाँ पे fishes हैं, यहाँ पे there are some benthic animals. So there is a structure in which the species are arranged. तो इकोसिस्टम का एक स्ट्रक्चर होता है, ठीक, और इकोसिस्टम का एक फंक्शन होता है. द टू मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंट फंक्शंस ऑफ एन इकोसिस्टम आर, वन इज एनर्जी फ्लो and the other is nutrient cycling. Energy flow and nutrient cycling. इन दोनों चीजों पे there are very important concepts that we will discuss. In energy flow, I will tell you what is a food chain, what is a food web. I will tell you what are different pyramids. There are pyramids of numbers, pyramids of biomass, pyramids of energy. तो ये हम देखेंगे एनर्जी में, एनर्जी फ्लो कैसे हो रही है. फिर हम देखेंगे न्यूट्रिएंट साइक्लिंग. ओके, इसमें क्या होता है इन न्यूट्रिएंट साइक्लिंग, you would have heard about carbon dioxide cycle, water cycle, nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle. जो भी nutrients है, how are they produced, how are they consumed again. So it's a cycle that is going on, constant produce हो रहे हैं, consume, produce, consume, produce, consume. That is the entire cycle that you understand in a nutrient cycle, right? So there are two major aspects. One is energy flow and nutrient cycling. अब इस example में आते हैं वापस. इस example में what was the ecosystem? Desert national park. In desert national park, देखो national park में there will be certain vegetation, there will be some animals. अब animals में lions या जो tigers है, they take a big area. Okay, deers also know कि भाई हम यहाँ जाएंगे तो गए, we have to be in that area. In fact, ये जो मैं चीज बोल रहा हूँ, इसको हम ज्यादा एक technical term इसको बोलते हैं, that is known as niche. I'll tell you that term very shortly. So here there is a particular arrangement of vegetation of the species. That is why there is a structure to this and there is a function to this. Okay, function means यहां पे भी एनर्जी फ्लो हो रही है, यहां पे भी न्यूट्रिएंट साइक्लिंग हो रही है. आप यहां पे इंडोर प्लांट्स लगा लो, वी आर लिविंग बीइंग्स, देयर इज अ abiotic component. Here also there is a small ecosystem. So remember, as ecosystem can be very small and it can also be large, right? An ecosystem, remember can be as small as a tree. ये कैसे? अब देखो, ट्री तो एक है. In this tree there are roots. Okay, there will be thousands or hundreds of birds that will come. Because of those birds, maybe certain hawks या scavengers भी आएंगे उनको खाने के लिए. तो ऐसे इतने माइक्रो छोटे छोटे ऑर्गेनिजम्स होंगे यहाँ पे. और यहाँ पे क्या यहाँ पे भी आसपास प्लांट्स हैं, they will produce the food. So you have biotic और abiotic है यहाँ पे कि नहीं है, and in that also interaction is happening. So can a tree be an ecosystem? Yes. So ecosystem can be as small as a tree and as big as a big protected area. Desert National Park is a big protected area. It spans across 2 districts. आप हो राजस्थान से, अब कौन सी 2 districts हैं ये उस क्वेश्चन में देखना जाके. नो, उस क्वेश्चन का, that question I'm telling you, in that question the first statement is it spans across 2 districts. So imagine districts are big areas, so it spans across, that's a big national park, Desert National Park. Okay, अब देखो, we have understood what an ecosystem is. Ecosystem की 2 definition है, simple definition. One is structural and functional component of biosphere. Biosphere is what? Where life is possible. Second thing is it also deals about the interactions between biotic as well as abiotic factors in an ecosystem. It can also be small, it can also be big. Okay, and then when you have this ecosystem, okay, and imagine in, let's say Delhi or let's say Rajasthan, there will be certain different national parks. Okay, so when you combine all these ecosystems, हम पूरा एक बोल देंगे desert biome. So biome के लिए the only keyword I have told you is they are characterized by their climate, because as per the climate there will be species, there will be vegetation here, there will be rainfall, सब कुछ उस पर dependent होगा. And when you combine these biomes, for example, I gave you example of tundra biome. Tundra biome is found in Arctic regions. वहां पे ना के बराबर species होंगी, या sorry पेड़ होंगे. क्यों? For species or let's say vegetation, you want good amount of sunlight and rainfall. Why did we call Amazon as lungs of the earth? Amazon is close to equator. Close to equator, you will get consistent amount of solar radiation and you will get consistent amount of rainfall. और क्योंकि वो कट रहा है, we have seen there is a lot of deforestation going on. That is why it's a huge source of problem. ठीक है? Is this clear? So you will have a biome, and when these biomes combine, you have a biosphere. Okay? Biome is again a topic I've told you. When we do ecosystems, maybe terrestrial, so we'll see all the biomes. वहां पे कौन से animals होते हैं. You will get a very good understanding here. Followed by last में, what is the term I told you? It is biosphere. It is where the life is possible. The intersection of 3 things. What are the 3 things? सी डेजर्ट नेशनल पार्क इज इन राजस्थान, ये राजस्थान में है. ओके, इट इज फ्रॉम राजस्थान. दूसरा बताओ. एक सही है, वन इज करेक्ट. आई थिंक मेरे को वन आई थिंक इज करेक्ट. ओके, so is till here everybody is with me? Okay, okay, so now what we can do, the same thing what we've done, now I'll show you certain images to understand it better. Plus abhi ek aur cheez thi, I'll also explain that to you. Okay, now when you see this, things will make a lot of sense. Okay, so you have certain definitions. For example, it is also defined as surrounding. This is what I told you. It will have biotic as well as abiotic factors. Yes, can we see the different biotic as well as abiotic factors? You can have bacteria, fungus, plants, protista, animals, archaea. This you will understand in more detail in subsequent lectures. Similarly, you can have multiple abiotic factors. Okay, salinity, abhi I'll talk you more when I talk about changes of salinity. Okay, similarly, water, humidity, mineral, pH, many things can be your abiotic factors. Abiotic means non-living, biotic is living. Okay, photosynthesis is also something I spoke about, so I should tell you. Yes, so sugars, so you have carbon dioxide, water combining to create sugar C6H12O6 और oxygen in the presence of sunlight. ये जरूर ध्यान रखना इसमें. ठीक है, sunlight presence is needed in this case. Okay, and we also spoke about ecology. Okay, so here this was a prominent person who gave the definition of ecology, Ernst Haeckel. Okay, so sometimes what happens again when you follow these classes, not only is it helpful for UPSC, in also state exams बहुत ऐसे facts जो environment पे आते हैं सीधे class से आप कर लोगे. Okay, ये चीज, this is a heavily repeated question that has been asked. So again, Ernst Haeckel gave this term in 1969. That is what we had also. Just a piece of information. Okay. उसके बाद, this is one thing I told you: individual, population, community, ecosystem, biome, and biosphere. ठीक है. I spoke about this also, right? This is India's world's largest mangrove. Sorry, India meaning world's largest mangrove, Sundarbans. This is your Sundarbans overall area. And what is this species? Royal Bengal tiger. ठीक है, इसकी हमने बात करी. चलो, before we come to this part, now you may just start to write down the three components of Ashutosh. I'll just make you write down. Above, you can just start. Some basic dictation is there about all the terms that I've used. So the very first thing is, we'll just define what is environment. Okay, environment is the sum total of all conditions and influences. Environment is the sum total of all conditions and influences that affect the development and life of all organisms on earth. Okay, second keyword you can also mention is what is mentioned here. Just mention this term, surroundings. It is the surroundings or conditions in which an organism operates. Okay, ये this is something I've already explained to you. You don't have to write it again. पहला definition मैंने यही लिखी थी. दूसरा लिख सकते हो, there are two components and there is a complex relationship between biotic and abiotic components. There's a complex relationship between biotic as well as abiotic components. A complex relationship between biotic as well as abiotic components. इसका दूसरा एक और मतलब है, everything is very much interconnected and interdependent. Second, we'll write about ecology. So ecology is the scientific study of interactions. Ecology is the scientific study of interactions of organisms with their physical environment. Of organisms study of organisms with their physical environment and with each other, and with each other. अब इसको कोई आपसे अलग से पूछे, does it involve biotic as well as abiotic? Yes. Okay, so we are saying individuals are also interacting with their physical environment plus they are also interacting with themselves. तो जो ये पार्ट लिखा है, when organisms react with themselves, there is a topic that I'll tell you that is known as species interactions. Sometimes when the species interacts, दोनों का फायदा होता है, that is known as mutualism. कभी कभार दोनों का नुकसान होता है, कभी नहीं होता. ठीक है, this is also something I'll talk about, so which is again a part of ecology. So ecology is organisms, their interactions with their physical environment as well as with each other. ठीक है. And second thing you can also write is this: the term was first coined by or used by Ernst Haeckel in 1869. Okay. And then very quickly, just two types in case somebody is not written: autoecology and synecology. Examples जो मैंने यूज किए, after the class also try to think कि मैंने example मैंने कौन से यूज किए. In case you are struggling, तो कल भी जब when we start the class and even after the class, I always take doubts. तो जिसको जो भी पूछना हो तो भी पूछ लो फिर से. Autoecology is study of individual organism or the individual species. और इसके बाद I'll tell you why did I write individual और population के बीच में, why did I write species in between. So here there are two types: autoecology, so that is the study of individual organism or individual species, whereas synecology is study of group of organisms or different species which are associated together as a unit. ठीक है, तो simple लिख सकते हो study of group of organisms, that's it. पूरी लाइन जरूरी नहीं है, you have to write. ठीक है, next heading we write levels of organisms या levels of organization. The first is individual or bracket organism. We'll have this image in mind. Okay. इसमें देखो दिख रहा है, there is one fish. I gave you the example of bird. ठीक है. One fish in population, multiple fishes, but in community you have fish, you have crab, you have let's say certain oyster of, ठीक है, अलग अलग species आ गई यहाँ पे, along with grass. But there is a proper ecosystem जहाँ पे structured or functional arrangement है. Then there is a biome which is even geographically bigger, and then finally there is a biosphere. Okay, so the first term is individual. Here just one line we'll write. It is a living individual of species. It is a living individual of species with the ability to function independently. It is a living individual of a species with the ability to function independently, right? ये लिख लिया. Second लिखो population. It is a group of individuals of same species. Population is, it is the group of population of same species functioning as a unit of, see, it is a group of individuals, right, of the same species functioning as a unit of a biotic community. Functioning as a unit of biotic community. इसको लिख लिया. ठीक है. अब just one thing I'll tell you so that this also is clear. We are using the term species and I have written it here in between. Okay, so in some cases you may also find individual है, individual के बाद species है, species के बाद population है, and then there is a community. How to understand this difference? Okay, so for example, individual में तो already clear है, only one organism of a species, only one organism. Then there is a species and then there is a population. इसको कैसे समझ सकते हैं? See, for example, if you see this diagram, if I'm talking of only Sundarbans and in that there is Royal Bengal tiger, तो मैंने क्या करा? मैंने एरिया स्पेसिफिक कर दिया. If I've made the area specific, in that area that is known as population. Okay, but the species of Royal Bengal tiger can also be found थोड़ा ऊपर. Let's say Assam में Assam है ऊपर. You have Kaziranga National Park. You can also again find Royal Bengal tiger. तो species तो वही है. Okay, but species can be distributed in the different areas. So species उस हिसाब से it's a big, let's say, overall name. If it is restricted or found in a specific area, in that area it is known as a population. Just a very small difference that is there. ठीक है, इसको आप ऐसे भी समझ सकते हो एक और फॉर्म से. When we say, for example, there are different species. You already have a Asiatic lion. Yeah. हाँ, I'll again repeat. देखो, we have, अभी भूल जाओ, we are in Sundarbans. There is a Royal Bengal tiger. Okay, so if there is a specific population, let's say 10, 15, 20, जो भी है population, and we are studying that Royal Bengal tiger in a particular area. In this question, we have defined it around Sundarbans. उसको हम बोल रहे हैं population. But species is not specific to an area. Species can be distributed anywhere. Okay, so for our ease of study, हमें आसानी क्या मिलती है? हम जब पॉपुलेशन की बात करते हैं, पॉपुलेशन कैन नॉट बी, देखो जब भी बात कर रहे हैं कि पॉपुलेशन डेंसिटी या पॉपुलेशन, इट हैज टू बी स्पेसिफिक इन अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया, दैट इज पॉपुलेशन. बट जो स्पीशी है, इट्स अ ब्रॉड कॉन्सेप्ट. ओके, इट मे बी फाउंड हियर, इट मे बी फाउंड समवेयर एल्स. उन सब जगह उसकी पॉपुलेशन अलग 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 हो सकती है. So that is how you also differentiate species and population. Species का जो एक major attribute है, that they can interbreed with themselves. Okay, so that is all. We also write, एक बार ये लिख लो, मैं species के भी एक दो attributes आपको अलग से लिखवाऊंगा कि how do we exactly define. Okay, so again, in a species interbreeding is possible. If interbreeding is not possible, then you cannot call them as a species also. Okay, second point हमने क्या लिखा? You've written the second point. अच्छा, population हो गया ना? ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है. Third, we will write the third point now. A population, then we'll write community, and then as a note I will write down with species जो हमने सीखा. Third is community. A community includes a population of different species it includes the population of different species that live with each other in an area. That live with each other in an area. ठीक है? And here just also write down, there are two types of communities. One is major and one is minor. In major community, you can write large sized and relatively independent. Major communities are large sized and relatively independent. They are only dependent on sunlight. The major communities are only dependent on the sunlight. Second was minor community. These are small sized. These are small sized and they are dependent on neighboring communities. They are dependent on neighboring communities. The next is population. नहीं, अच्छा पॉपुलेशन कम्युनिटी तो हो गया ना। हाँ, एक बस एग्जांपल लिखना है यहाँ पे। इन केस ऑफ कम्युनिटीज इज दिस, फॉर एग्जांपल दे आर नेम्ड आफ्टर द डोमिनेंट प्लांट फॉर्म। The communities are named after the dominant plant form. So for example, in this case, there is a grassland community. क्यों grassland बोल रहे हैं? Because it is dominated by grasses. So it is by the dominant plant form, not the animal form. Nomenclature ऐसे होगा. They are named, हाँ, we'll write. They are named after the dominant plant form. An example can be grassland. In the grassland community, because it is dominated by grasses, we'll also read about what are savannas, okay, prairies, etc. Different, let's say, grasslands. So it is dominated by grasses, इसलिए इसका नाम है grassland community. तो ये हो जाएगा हमारा community का example. Okay. Then we come to ecosystem. और ये definition हमें रट लेनी है. We have to cram this. What is ecosystem? It is the structural and the functional part of a biosphere. उसके बाद का if you want you can write, but if you understand, अगर structural और functional part में भी biotic और abiotic factors होंगे, so उसमें interactions भी होगा. So here in the definition you will see consisting of community of living beings, that is the biotic, and the physical environment, abiotic, interacting and exchanging materials. So that is why the definition is huge. अगर लिखोगे भी तो अगर जहां living लिखो अपने लिए लिखना in the notes you will write this as biotic and the physical part can be written as abiotic so that you understand. These are two different ways how you define it. So again we'll repeat what is an ecosystem. It is defined as the structural and the functional unit of a biosphere which is consisting of community of living beings and the physical environment both interacting and exchanging the materials. This is again one of the very core things of environment कि ecosystem होता क्या है. What is an ecosystem? Okay, so we've defined this also. Then we come to two more definitions. One is biome and a biosphere, and with that again we'll also see certain examples and diagrams. Okay, अब आते हैं biome पे. ठीक है, ये हम समझ चुके हैं. अब देखो इसमें only see the keyword. Keyword is in this case, ठीक, बाकी सारी चीजें you can also, and I can even give you a very short definition also. You can just write down a biome is classified as per its prevailing climate. It is classified as per its prevailing climate. Which includes different types of plants, animals. ये plants से vegetation लिख सकते हो. vegetation, precipitation, animals in that area. So here what we've said, we have biomes based on certain climates, and because there is a certain climate you will have a different type of a vegetation, you will have a different type of a availability of plants and animals in that area. Okay, यहाँ पे just example लिखो, tundra biome has extremes of temperature. You have to Google or see tundra biome. उस पर star mark लगाओ. Everything that you put a star mark is something that you have to see. I will of course show it to you when we have that particular section. Has extremes of climate. That is why it has very limited vegetation. इसके आगे, that is why it has very limited vegetation. और वहां पे ब्रैकेट में दो टर्म्स लिखिएगा. We'll also see them आगे. You will find lichens and mosses. So very limited vegetation. क्यों? बारिश ही नहीं होती. Extremes of climate, very cold temperatures are there. Okay, that is just one example. You have desert biomes, grassland, multiple biomes can also be there, right? That is just one example I've given you. Okay, last is biosphere. Okay, Here there were three things. Biosphere, okay, is the part or the zone of the earth where life is possible. It is the part of the earth where life is possible, where life is possible, and there is an interaction, an intersection of three things: atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. Okay, so there is atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. Okay, one more example I'll give you for biomes so that again you can understand. ये देखो दो, I'll again, because I've just told you Sundarbans, plus we also spoke about Rajasthan, ठीक है, and you can also locate very far away, almost opposites हो गए दोनों, right? So let's say biomes में we are talking of two things. One, we are talking of a mangrove area, ठीक है. अच्छा, mango नहीं है, mangrove. We'll see what is a mangrove. So here one example is a Thar desert, okay, and one example is Sundarbans. हम बायोम्स की बात करें. बायोम्स में हमने क्या कहा? They will have different climate, different vegetation, different animals, different plants. Okay. So let's say अगर मैं थार डेजर्ट की बात करूं, थार डेजर्ट कहां है? राजस्थान. Okay. In a desert, can you have extremes of temperature? नहीं नहीं, आंसर. Would you have extremes of temperature in deserts? उसका रीजन है, इज देयर कॉन्टिनेंटैलिटी प्रेजेंट या नहीं होती? आपने हैव यू, फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट, लेट्स से दिस इज अ कोस्ट, लेट्स से वी टॉक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र. इन महाराष्ट्र वुड यू फाइंड, और लेट्स से मुंबई, वुड यू फाइंड एक्सट्रीम्स ऑफ टेम्परेचर? नहीं. क्यों? मॉडरेटिंग इफेक्ट है, ठीक, बट दैट इज नॉट possible in case of these desert regions. Okay, so desert regions will have very extremes of temperature, number one. Okay, plus the quality of soil. Soil के textures होते हैं. Soil sandy हो सकता है, soil loamy भी हो सकता है. ज्यादा अच्छा soil कौन सा होगा, sandy या loamy एग्रीकल्चर के लिए? loamy है ना. loamy is this. Example can be plains, let's say alluvial plains, very good fertile for agriculture, but sandy soil. So यहाँ पे in sandy soils I cannot find proper evergreen forests etc. I would generally find thorns, cactus हमने सुना है, ठीक है. कुछ ऐसे invasive species मिलेंगे which are only found here, right? So here high temperatures, low rainfall and sandy terrain. This is there in Thar desert. Similarly if I talk about Sundarbans, Sundarbans में एक चीज तो याद हो गई हमें, रॉयल बंगाल टाइगर, और दूसरा वर्ड्स मैक्सिमम मैंग्रोव्स. ओके, मैंग्रोव्स होते क्या, क्या डिफाइन करते हैं, आगे देखेंगे. बट अभी के लिए somebody, I think you only said delta region. अब डेल्टा है, so you'll have a lot of rivers coming in like Padma, Meghna, Brahmaputra. That is the first thing. Second thing, in सुंदरबंस की हम बात करते हैं, यहां पे ढेर सारे dense mangrove forest मिलते हैं. This region is extremely rich in species diversity. Okay, abhi very shortly in 10-15 minutes I'll tell you, mangroves are an example of something that is known as ecotone. abhi aage dekhenge. ecotone में biodiversity बहुत ज्यादा होती है, huge biodiversity, which is why you can also of course find royal bengal tiger, multiple fishes, bird, crocodile, so on and so forth. But can you say the same for Thar desert? Thar desert में ऐसा नहीं होगा, ठीक है. तो बहुत लिमिटेड, जैसे कैक्टस हो गए, camels, desert fox, black bucks. Okay, why was black bucks in news very recently? ठीक है, सुना है, हल्का फुल्का सुना है. अभी now when we discuss it, we'll also see the legal provisions. What is the conservation status of black buck? Okay, what is the controversy surrounding it? So here when you are saying of Bishnoi community, okay, so Bishnoi community worships black buck. They also worship a khejri tree, ठीक है, which is also known as Prosopis cinerea. ठीक है, khejri tree याद रखेंगे. तो खेजरी ट्री को भी वर्शिप करते हैं. और ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वर्शिप करने का, इट इज नॉट ओनली स्पेसिफिक टू बिश्नोई कम्युनिटीज. इन इवन नॉर्थ ईस्ट, इवन इन लेट्स से महाराष्ट्र, इन साउथ, वेरियस एरियाज, एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है सेक्रेड ग्रोव्स का. जैसे आई गिव यू द एग्जांपल ऑफ पीपल, देयर आर बैनियन ट्री एटसेट्रा, ठीक है, उसको हम वर्शिप करते हैं, राइट. इसी तरह से और भी एग्जांपल्स हैं आगे, राइट. So again through this we'll also see a lot of examples, tribal examples, people, women led examples. Okay, women एक, और there is also a term that is known as ecofeminism. Traditionally from the very start women have been more closer to the environment. Very recently, अभी हमने बोला 50 years of Project Tiger, very recently 50 years of Chipko movement or Chipko Andolan also happened. So again, there was a very famous women-led movement. Okay, so that is the analysis, a comparison between the Sundarbans and Thar Desert. And finally, when you understand the biome, then you can understand their biodiversity. You can make particular, let's say, adjustments. देखो हमने दोनों बायोम की बात करी, पर प्रॉब्लम इज बोथ बायोम्स आर थ्रेटेंड, and that is also the contemporary aspect of environment. Desert is being threatened by desertification. Desertification is a problem around the world. ज्यादा से ज्यादा area is being used for agriculture, huge level of pesticides, a lot of contamination is happening, productivity of land, of fertility of land is decreasing, right? More and more deserts are getting formed. In fact, अगर हम दिल्ली की बात करें, you know the Aravalis, okay, the expansion of Aravalis, a lot of desertification, even that there is happening. इसलिए we are going for more and more planting of trees, etc. to stop that. Okay, we are saying a phenomenon of greening of deserts. Okay, second, Sundarbans. अब Sundarbans के पास क्या है? If you see the image, this is Bay of Bengal. Up in the recent few years, what is happening? Let's say this is the coast of India. You have Arabian Sea, you have Bay of Bengal. Aren't the cyclones increasing in both? Cyclones ki frequency and intensity of cyclones both is increasing. Now, if that is increasing, the Sundarbans is also at threat. There is an increasing sea level rise. Okay, and because of increasing sea level rise, not only the community of people who is living, the fishes may also die. If the fishes die, the population who is going to fish, okay, उनकी भी livelihood impact होगी ना. तो आप मतलब ultimately in environment, what I am saying, contemporary we'll see almost all these biomes are threatened because of a very dangerous species. उसका नाम क्या है? बहुत dangerous species है, आसपास ही आप सबके, humans. Okay, so humans in that sense is a dangerous species for these species, right? So in all the sense, be it desertification, be it deforestation, be it unplanned urbanization, be it global warming, sea level rise, हर एक चीज में we use a term there is a huge anthropogenic factor. There are two things, one is natural factors and one is anthropogenic, मतलब man made या natural. तो man made component is very high and increasing, which is why the biomes are also under threat. Okay, so that is just one example that we see. Okay, हाँ, when I was talking to you about species also, तो species भी different हैं. जैसे कि एक example हम देखें, and in the coming classes we'll also see this in far more detail. We have Asiatic lion. We were talking about abhi Rajasthan. Let's move to Gujarat and let's move to Gir forests in Gujarat. It is the only abode of Asiatic lion. सिर्फ Asiatic lion कहाँ मिलता है? गिर. And I'm saying only वाली चीजें important है, ठीक है? But there is a species also of Asiatic lion. There is also an African lion. So what will happen? These are different species. Okay, population क्या होगी? Specific population of Asiatic lion in Gir National Park. That is that population. And then of course community and then ecosystem, then biome and then biosphere. ठीक है, ये कुछ बेसिक समझ रहे हो आप? अब इसी को, and again this is something I'll do in slightly more detail. I'll tell you about all a lot of facts etc. We'll see it slightly later. Again ये चीज समझ गए, ये sequence is something you should remember. See, we are having some of the live classes, initial live classes will be on YouTube, if that is the question. And the timing you have also asking, the classes will start from 9. Approximately it will be a 3-hour class. So you can expect the class to be from 9 to 12, if that is your doubt. The initial few classes are there, you can have a look, okay, that how we generally conduct the foundation classes, etc. So whatever doubts you have, and again, there is also a number that is mentioned on how to connect with a mentor. You can also see that in the comment section, okay, if that is the doubt you have, right? That is one. Now, is this clear? ये समझ गए? We were speaking about biosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere. एक और sphere सुन लेते हैं, ठीक है? This is something known as ठीक है? And when I'm saying this, it is almost a moment to cry about. Why is it a moment to cry? Because this is melting. Okay, so cryosphere is that part wherein we talk about all the ice caps, all the snow regions, and why is it melting, क्यों melt हो रही है? ठीक है, global warming, climate change. So when you say biosphere, biosphere also includes cryosphere, by the way. So think about small, some of the Eskimos, ठीक है, या फिर let's say अभी हमने किसकी बात करी थी in case of huddling, penguins. Okay, there will be certain specific varieties that will be found. That is one. Plus there will be a lot of fishes found here, a lot of shipping etc will happen. So this is also an ecosystem under threat. This is your cryosphere. Okay, so this you will do in far more detail when I do global warming. What are the consequences of it? ठीक है, इसको रोक कैसे सकते हैं? Again, a very interesting and a very relevant part. Okay, because from the very first lecture I'll also try to give you not only a national perspective but also global perspective of what is happening around the world, so you'll be very informed. One, okay, and of course that is very helpful for the exam also. Okay, छोटी सी हेडिंग लिखो just for your reference, cryosphere also. So just write down, it includes all the frozen water on earth. It includes all the frozen water on earth and covers around 10% of earth's surface. And covers around 10% of earth's surface. Around 10%, 10% of earth's surface. Its components include, बस 4 component है, उसको बस याद रखना. Because in coming times we can even expect a question, which of the following is a part of cryosphere? 1, 2, 3, 4, they can ask you a question like this. So 1, glaciers and ice cap. Glaciers and ice caps. Any prominent glacier from India that you are thinking right now? Siachen glacier. उसके आसपास कोई रिवर याद है? चलो अपने in your margins write down Siachen glacier and again put a star mark, write down previous year question 2020. A very specific question on Siachen glacier was asked. By the way, that time India China dispute was happening. ठीक है, तो back then 2020, although we right now there's a disengagement going on. So glaciers important हमारे perspective में, क्योंकि glaciers are melting. Okay, second write down sea ice. Sea ice. Second or third can be snow cover. And fourth is, उसको स्टार मार्क लगाना, fourth is permafrost. नाम से लग रहा होगा, permafrost means permanently frozen. Permafrost is permanently frozen. So here just put a dash and write down permanently frozen ground, mainly in permanently वेरी गुड. हाँ अशुत, पैंगोंग के आसपास का रीजन. ठीक है, हाँ इसको लिखेंगे परमानेंटली फ्रोजन ग्राउंड मेनली इन साइबेरिया, अलास्का एंड पार्ट्स ऑफ कैनेडा, containing large amounts of organic carbon. कनाडा जो बहुत न्यूज में इस समय, इंडिया कनाडा. ओके, containing large amounts of organic carbon. परमाफ्रॉस्ट में स्टार मार्क लगाइएगा. अच्छा, जो हम स्टार मार्क यहां भी लगा रहे हैं, some of these things will again get repeated in lectures. So when I talk about methane आगे जाके, ठीक है, and biomes, I will again tell you about permafrost. Okay, organic carbon. So अभी हो क्या रहा है, देखो, temperatures are increasing, permafrost is melting, and because of permafrost melting, methane and carbon dioxide is getting released. वो एक नया कंसर्न है. तो you can also write it is in news because of melting of permafrost, your dash climate change, for your understanding. Although again I'm telling you, in climate change there's a separate section I'll cover for permafrost and the impact of climate change on permafrost. ठीक है, नाम से पता चले permanently frozen, but this is going to slowly and steadily melt, and because of its melting there will be multiple kinds of consequences, okay, across the ecosystem. ठीक है, Then we'll also see what is this report, state of the cryosphere report. Abhi ke liye not very important. Okay. Now, again, there are some terms that you should also be familiar with. Okay. So there are a couple of terms I'll tell you. One is ecological niche. Another term that I'll tell you is ecotone. ठीक है. Niche की बात करते हैं. ठीक है. How many of you have seen Shark Tank? कोई एपिसोड सुना है? Have you seen judges use the term? ये किस niche में है प्रोडक्ट आपका? ऐसा सुनने में आ रहा है? अगर even if you don't remember, so I'll tell you. Niche generally means a very specialized area. ठीक. कोई भी चीज, जैसे कि अगर हम बात करें एजुकेशन की, एजुकेशन इज अ बिग ब्रॉड एरिया. अ नीश ऑफ एजुकेशन कैन बी स्पेसिफिक काइंड्स ऑफ पेन्स और पेंसिल्स और रेस्टर्स. दैट्स अ वेरी नीश एरिया. ठीक है. और अ वेरी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ अ फाउंटेन पेन. तो स्टेशनरी में बहुत नीश आइटम हो गया है ना. सेम थिंग इफ यू अप्लाई टू इन्वायरमेंट एंड इकोलॉजी. इकोलॉजिकल नीश होता क्या है, राइट? नाउ फॉर एग्जाम्पल, that is why I introduced some of the species. Okay, so let's say we talk about Royal Bengal tiger. Now tiger is going to hunt deer, okay, and deer is going to eat a certain grass. Okay, so the niche concept simply says ki, for example, the tiger can be distributed. और इसके लिए चलो एक basic सा, I'll just draw this. Okay, let's say this is generally where tiger roams. Okay, this is an area where you find deer. This is for your understanding only. Okay, tiger roams in such a big area, but it hunts only in this area. Okay, so niche is the unique functional role of a species. जो सबसे unique, please note the term I am again and again saying, it is the unique functional role of a species. ठीक है. तो it means tiger can do a lot of other activities in different places, but उसको जो सबसे यूनिक रोल है वो एक ही जगह करेगा. In a very simple, let's say layman terms, again, not to be used as an example, but let's say I'm talking of students. Students can do a lot of activities, ठीक है, खाना खाना सोना, but पढ़ने के लिए they have a designated spot. Okay, they have their rooms, their libraries, etc. So if I say what is the unique functional role of a student to study, they study in this area. For other areas they have to go to CP, बहुत काम करने, etc. etc. वो सब और हो गया. That is how you define a niche. Okay, so niche is the unique functional role of a species. Why do you want to know this information? As the ecologist, you want to know this so that you know कि prey, this is the prey, it has to prey, P-R-A-Y, so that it does not get killed. This is the predator, it is going to kill this. ठीक है. So that you know exactly where are they distributed, and if you exactly know where they will eat, how they will eat, etc. तो जब आप इनको प्लान करोगे, when you plan your zoo and different areas of conservation, this knowledge is extremely helpful. Okay, so the knowledge of niche is extremely important to understand reproduction patterns. ठीक है, कहां कहां, wherever they are distribution patterns. That is why the knowledge of niche is needed. Okay, so for this we'll say niche is the unique functional role or place of a species in the ecosystem. This is what you can write. ठीक है, it is a unique functional role of a species in the ecosystem. दूसरी चीज इसके साथ, the moment I say you are, अच्छा, for example, if I say to somebody you are unique, and again in the same line I am saying both of you are same, can both the two statements are same or not? गलत हो गया ना. एक को अगर मैंने बोला आप यूनिक हो और दूसरे को बोला आप दोनों बराबर हो, if somebody is unique you cannot be the same as the other body, right? तो इसका सेम मतलब है, if a niche is unique, two species cannot have the same niche because it is a unique functional role. ठीक है, तो इसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? a niche is unique for a species. No two species can have exact or identical niche. No two species can have this. इसीलिए फोकस है इस पे, यूनिक पे. Okay, and now the niche can be further divided. Okay, so here for example we have a habitat niche, we have a food niche, reproductive niche. For different parts there is a niche. अब देखो ये बहुत अच्छे से एग्जांपल है, ओके, दैट हाउ स्मार्ट द स्पीशीज आर. Here there are 2 or 3 different kinds of birds. Okay, the birds also know कि if they fight among each other, there will be a lot of competition. Competition is not that good. It will ultimately lead to death of a certain species. So what they have smartly done, let's say there is a particular bird that is only there on top. एक बर्ड ने बना लिया अपनी इस जगह को, एक ने इस जगह को बना लिया. ठीक, ये जो बहुत सिंपल से एग्जांपल आपको लग रहा है, इन योर एनसीईआरटी देयर इज अ टर्म यूज्ड. ठीक है, there is a Gauss law, okay, or Gauss exclusion law. That is what this mentioned here, GAUSE. According to this, जरूरी नहीं है if two species are in the same area they will die or they will just compete and die. They can do resource partitioning. उन्होंने क्या करा, resource partition कर दिया. Okay, so here Gauss law, here one of the attribute here, it basically talks about that the presence of competition may not lead to the death of a species, but it can ultimately lead to resource partitioning. और ये रिसोर्स पार्टनरशिप देखिए, दिस इज अ वेरी एडवांस्ड एवोल्यूशनरी टैक्टिक. जब शुरुआत में व्हेन वी हैड वेरी लिमिटेड बर्ड्स, तब तो प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं थी. बट नाउ व्हेन द ह्यूज पॉपुलेशन हैज हैपेंड, ओके, सो व्हाट विल हैपन, एवरीबडी विल बी स्मार्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल यहां का लेते हैं एग्जांपल, everybody has their own space, everybody is just sitting in one seat. Let's say there are more students here, for example, okay, so let's say 2 students will have to do, so there will be resource partitioning. My pen will not fall here, your pen will not, should not fall here. So this is what is the advance. So that's to minimize conflict, there is something that is known as resource partitioning. ठीक है, ये जो चीज है गॉस लॉ, ये मैं आपको अलग से लिखवाऊंगा व्हेन आई टेल यू पॉपुलेशन इंटरैक्शंस. तो अगर इसको नहीं भी लिखा है, नो प्रॉब्लम. स्पीशी इंटरैक्शंस में स्पेसिफिकली विद मोर डिटेल आई विल मेक यू राइट इट डाउन. But for now, just understand we are discussing niche. Is niche unique for a species? Can 2 species have same niche? No. ठीक है, यही this is what we have understood. Okay. Then एक और डायग्राम है, इसको याद समझते हैं. Everything that surrounds us is our environment. Okay. उसका एक छोटा, a smaller subset of that is the habitat. Okay. And उससे भी छोटा subset होता है niche. तो इसको, to understand this, anything that surrounds that tiger is its environment. It's a huge area. The habitat is generally the area where it lives. ठीक, and exactly where it hunts is its niche. So if you were to understand, this is actually a Venn diagram only. A big circle, a smaller circle, and the smallest circle. Smallest is what? Bigger one is habitat. Habitat is the part of distribution. It can be huge. Again, to find mates also, they may have to move. For hunting also, so that will be a big area, but exact functional role they will do in the very specific location. That is their niche, and everything that surrounds them, that is why that is known as environment. Are you able to understand these 3 terms? ठीक है, so just a second, what we'll do, I'll just give you a couple of questions to attempt right now. ठीक है, the people online also, let's say for you this is question, there are 2 questions, previous questions, we'll see one by one, very conceptual, take your time, don't hurry as such, 30-40 seconds you can take, and we will also see what is the right answer and why some answer. So first is this, and then there is one more question, well, shall this is question number 1. This is a direct previous year question which will also tell you, sometimes even core definitions are asked. जिसको जिसको आता है, you just have to raise your hand. अच्छा, कोई बात नहीं, if you still reading I'll give you more time, आराम से पढ़ो. So here not only are we going to find the right answer, we are also going to find what should not be the answer. उससे में 2-3 और definition पता चलेंगी. ठीक है, I think the answers people have started to give. Okay, I'll start now one by one. Should A be the answer? सबसे पीछे आप बताओ. नहीं क्यों? आराम से बैठ के बताओ, आराम से. हाँ हाँ, आप ट्राई करो. वाई इज ए नॉट द आंसर?
ये सेकंड ऑप्शन हो सकता है.
अच्छा, सेकंड हो सकता है, ठीक है. आप, वाई इज ए नॉट द आंसर? इनकम्प्लीट. यू एट द लास्ट. अदर, मतलब दिस शुड बी समथिंग मोर देन दिस. ठीक है, अब देखो, अब कम्युनिटी, ये भी टर्म पता है अपने को, ऑफ ऑर्गेनिजम्स इंटरैक्टिंग विद वन अनदर. व्हाट आर दे टॉकिंग अबाउट? सिर्फ लिविंग, ओनली द बायोटिक पार्ट. This only talks about the biotic part. The question is which is the best description, which means you have to read all the statements. ऐसा नहीं है गलत है, but शायद इससे better भी statement हो सकते हैं. Now let's go to B. The part of the earth. अच्छा, B कितने लोग कह रहे हैं? आप पीछे हो गए, word changed. अच्छा, आप C बोलो, ठीक है. A part of the earth which is inhabited by living organisms. What is this defined as? नहीं, इसको define क्या करते हैं? What is the term for this? Biosphere. Part of the earth where life is possible is biosphere, right? Second, it is inhabited by living organisms. It still does not talk about all the abiotic factors. Let's go to 3. A community of organisms. देखो, A और C similar है. From the very this question itself, you will get to understand एक और चीज. When two options are very similar, read both of them. Second is even more detailed. Community of organisms together with the environment in which they live. Environment में क्या है? Biotic भी है, abiotic भी है. So in the above parts, they did not explicitly mention about abiotic. So third is more comprehensive. Now let's see D also for our understanding. Flora and fauna. अब ये देखो, flora क्या होती है? What is flora? Flora से याद करो, flowers. तो सोचो, these are plants. Fauna, animals. In a geographical area, animals and plants are what? Biotic components. ठीक, one is producers, one is consumers. It still does not explain you the abiotic factors. Okay, तो इस क्वेश्चन में if somebody goes very fast, तो जोश जोश में हो सकता है ए सही कर दो पहले. एंड अगेन मेनी टाइम्स दिस विल हैपन. जो ट्रैप होता है वो सबसे पहले दे देते हैं. आपको देखिएगा, अरे हाँ सही लग रहा है, सही लग रहा है, खटाक, बाद में बचा यार ये भी तो वही था. So in these questions, whenever they ask you what is the best description of any term, take your time and then go slow. Okay, that is there. Okay, there is also one question, but uske liye I'll just have to just tell you one more definition. Okay, then we'll go into it. Next point, and this is also something you should write down. Ecotone. इससे पहले क्या देखा? Niche. Next thing we see is ecotone, and this is again a concept I will keep coming back to. Yes, very right, Hanshika, that all the statements appear similar, but this is the one which is the most relevant and most close. Okay, right. Now, what is ecotone? इसको बहुत simple terms में आपको बताता हूं. देखो, ecotone में क्या होगा? Let's say there is one ecosystem. This is ecosystem 1. Ecosystem 1, let's say this is land-based ecosystem. There is another ecosystem that is ecosystem 2. This may be water-based. The intersection of these ecosystems is basically known as ecotone. In an ecotone, you will find properties of 1 also, properties of 2 also. That is the first thing. अब इसको example के तौर पे समझने के लिए, for example, you can see a land-based ecosystems. You can have water-based ecosystems. When they combine, तो ऐसी waterlogged conditions, can you see them in wetlands? Wetlands are an example, by the way, of ecotones. Mangroves are also examples of your ecotones. Okay, abhi I'll also, in coming classes we'll also see a lot of images. So here what is happening? Two ecosystems are combining. ठीक है, एक और है, वो भी आगे देखोगे, उसका नाम है estuaries. ठीक, have you heard the name of the movie when Harry met Sejal? सुना है? इसके लिए क्या कोड वर्ड है estuary के लिए? When river meets sea. River water meets sea water. River water क्या होगा? Fresh water. Sea water क्या होगा? Saline या salty water. So when these two water meets, this is becoming one of the best productive zones of the world. You will find a lot of fishes, huge amount of biodiversity, and a lot of population around estuaries. Estuaries का क्या कोड वर्ड है? When rivers meet sea. Rivers से याद रखोगे क्या? Fresh water. Sea से क्या याद रखोगे? Salty water. When these two waters combine, you will get a lot of गुड फिशेस, यहाँ पे बहुत अच्छे फिशिंग ग्राउंड्स हैं, यहाँ की जो कम्युनिटीज है दे गेट अ लॉट ऑफ मनी आउट ऑफ दिस फिशिंग एक्टिविटीज. ओके, आई गिव यू 3 एग्जांपल्स टिल नाउ. वेटलैंड्स, मैंग्रोव्स एंड एस्चुरी, ईच ऑफ दिस is a part of the coming classes also. अभी आगे भी देखेंगे. But for now, what have we understood? What is ecotone? It is the intersection zone of two different ecosystems. First point. Second thing is ecotones are highly productive in nature. तो क्या होगा, यहां पे जो स्पीशीज 1 की हैं वो भी मिलती हैं, स्पीशीज 2 की हैं वो भी मिलती हैं, पर you also get species which are not found in either. कैसे? Let's say if a species here, these two species mate, a new kind of species can also be found here. वो यहां तो नहीं मिलेंगी. Okay, so here one you will find species from 1, 2 plus new species also which are totally unique. So here if you note, आप ये देख रहे हो जो graph, in the graph there is something like this and then there is a huge bump. Bump signifies presence of high biodiversity in an ecotone. In an ecotone, number one, it is a transitional zone between two ecosystems or a zone of junction of two ecosystems. Transitional समझ में आ गया, those zones का transition part. Second, it is an area of high biodiversity. How do I say that? Here you will find, this is a land, यहाँ पे कुछ species हैं. There are some species, more species in aquatic. All of them combined we will find in transition zone. That is why the number of species is maximum in an ecotone. There's a lot of overlap. ठीक, सबसे ज्यादा स्पीशीज इकोटोन में मिलेंगी. इस चीज को हम बोलते हैं, this term is defined as edge effect. Edge effect simply means the higher amount of biodiversity that is going to be present in ecotones or these transition zones. And the kind of species that you find in these regions, these are known as edge species. ठीक है, देखो यहां पे लैंड में कुछ स्पीशीज मिल रही हैं. लेट्स से वी हैव अराउंड 10 टाइप्स ऑफ स्पीशीज, यहां पे भी 7 or 5 टाइप्स ऑफ स्पीशीज आर देयर. But when we go and see the transition zones, here you will find around 20, 30, 40 type of species. This is just an example, okay? So the number of species is very high. By the way, these ecotones, for example, if I talk about wetlands, wetlands में इतने ज़्यादा birds आके visit करते हैं. These are great bird wintering grounds, okay? So the point is transition zones में ये देखो, if you see the graph, less species, but in the transition zone the species is high, and again here the species is less. Because the species that is here can also mate with the species here and a unique species can also be found. Okay, so these are highly productive zones. इस effect को, the effect which tells you that the species is more in these regions is known as edge effect. पहली चीज, हाँ, इसका इनका you can find crocodile in a lot of brackish or both fresh water. बट यहां पे जो स्पीशीज हैं, हम उस स्पीशीज के नाम को बोल रहे हैं, अलग से क्रोकोडाइल को नहीं बोलेंगे. वो अभी आई टेल यू. देखो जो आप बोल रहे हो, देखो स्पीशीज को वीट से स्पीशीज कैन बी कीस्टोन स्पीशीज, एंडेमिक स्पीशीज, ठीक है, इन्वेजिव स्पीशीज, सो एंड सो फोर्थ. दैट क्लासिफिकेशन इज डिफरेंट. यहाँ पे एच स्पीशीज इज अ ब्रॉड क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ द काइंड ऑफ स्पीशीज दैट यू विल फाइंड. इसमें what you're saying can also be true in the sense कि for example if we have a wetland, उस wetland के अगर आसपास crocodile दिख रहा है जो हो भी सकता है, ठीक है, but crocodiles are not classified specifically as these edge species. Edge species is a broad umbrella term that we use to signify the species in general in an ecotone. तो वो कोई भी species वो हो सकता है, पर crocodile के लिए we'll see अलग terms, okay, because again ऐसा मैं क्यों बोल रहा हूँ, because this year and this I think some months back crocodile conservation की भी we are celebrating the anniversary 50 years. Okay, so we'll do crocodile in detail. 1974 में, if I'm not wrong, one of the projects was launched. So almost 50 years of that has happened. Okay, so we'll also do that. ठीक है? हाँ, yeah.
जो है सब जो डिफरेंस है लैंड जोन और मतलब aquatic zone में सब वही स्पीशीज रहेगी, ये सारी स्पीशीज जो
सब everything that you find, everything. तभी तो देखो, that is the whole region ना, exclusive नहीं है, right? Plus स्पीशीज जो यहां मिलेंगी दे विल बी स्लाइटली अडेप्टेड. अब हो सकता है लैंड में कुछ ऐसी स्पीशीज हैं जो इन वाटरलॉक्ड कंडीशंस में जा ही नहीं सकती हैं, वो नहीं होंगी, बट देयर कैन बी मेनी न्यू स्पीशीज. सेकंड, देयर विल बी अ लॉट ऑफ माइग्रेटरी और विंटरिंग बर्ड्स दैट विल आल्सो बी अ पार्ट दैट विल नॉट बी फाउंड हियर. व्हाई आर दे फाउंड हियर? बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ प्रोडक्टिविटी इन दीज रीजंस. ओके, तो हाँ बोलो.
species मतलब transition zone में जो भी मिलते हैं ना,
उन्हें उन्हें स्पीशीज बोलते हैं. हाँ हाँ. अभी जब आप व्हेन यू राइट दिस डाउन, दिस विल गिव यू स्लाइटली मोर क्लैरिटी. सो वील राइट दिस डाउन नाउ. ओके. What is an ecotone? It describes an area that is a zone of transition. Okay, you will use these terms. It is a transition zone, or it is a boundary between the ecosystems. इसका दूसरा एक और कीवर्ड वी यूज दिस एज जोन ऑफ टेंशन. Okay. Example of H species will be all the species that will be found in these. For example, mangroves में जैसे अभी हमने देखा सुंदरबन mangroves. Okay. So in those mangroves, the prominent varieties, including even crocodiles or even the tigers, etc., वो सारी की सारी हो जाएंगी H species. But in that sense, it's a big umbrella term क्योंकि इकोटोन से बहुत species होती हैं. That is why we go for even a more minute classification, which also we'll see. ठीक है. इसमें एक example और add करना, which I have just told you, estuaries, and you will just write down for your reference. When rivers meet sea. When rivers meet sea, and remember these are one of the most productive zones of the world. Very good fishing grounds. Estuaries के लिए ये दोनों keywords. Okay. Highly productive. Again, by the way, productive ये भी बहुत ज्यादा है. Mangroves and very good fishing grounds. And then we also saw two more terms. One is edge effect and the other is edge species. Edge effect is simply higher density of organisms and variety that can be found. अब इसको समझाने के लिए अगर एक और चीज मैं बोलूं, if I say to you that in these ecotones, can you find a species which is not found in either of the ecosystems? Can that be there? Yes. So there is a high density of or higher density of organisms and a more variety of species within an ecotone. मैंग्रोव से अभी आज की क्लास में द ओनली टेक अवे फॉर यू शुड बी सुंदरबंस वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट मैंग्रोव. उसके बियॉन्ड अभी मैंने कुछ नहीं बताया आपको. मैंग्रोव्स में बहुत तरह के मैंग्रोव्स हैं इंडिया में. आई टॉक अबाउट तमिलनाडु पिचावरम मैंग्रोव्स, अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ व्हाट आर दीज, इनके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या होते हैं, व्हाट इज दैट, दैट इज अगेन अ सेपरेट पार्ट. सो इफ यू डोंट थिंक, आप सोचो मैंग्रोव्स है क्या ये, तो डोंट वरी, दिस इज अगेन अ प्रॉपर. इस पे आई हैव अगेन आई थिंक ऑलमोस्ट एक पूरी क्लास होती है वेटलैंड्स एंड मैंग्रोव्स पे. तो एवरीथिंग दैट यू नीड टू नो यू विल गेट टू नो. ठीक है. इसके बियॉन्ड भी एनीबडी हु इज हियर हु हैज इशू इन एनी टर्म, ठीक है, तो यहां पे देयर इज दिस इज अगेन वन ऑफ द वेरी फेमस कोटेशन टर्म्स ऑफ आई थिंक रिचर्ड फेनमैन. ही वाज अ फेमस फिजिसिस्ट. देयर इज नो स्टूपिड क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, आपको लग सकता है, बट पॉइंट इज इफ यू हैव दैट, आपका सवाल नहीं आएगा. हो सकता है बहुत समय बाद योर कॉन्सेप्ट यू आर नॉट एबल टू इवॉल्व बिकॉज ऑफ दैट क्वेश्चन. ओके, सो वॉट एवर इज अ क्वेश्चन यू सिंपली आस्क इट. ठीक है. हाँ बोलो. सॉरी सॉरी एक मैं एक ही बोलो. हाँ आप बोलो. अच्छा, नीश के साथ कंपेयर करना है. देखो नीश के साथ किसको कंपेयर करना है? इकोटोन को. ठीक है, देखो इसमें आई विल ऑल्सो आराम से, एंड दिस इज अगेन, देखो जो भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा, नीश पहली क्लास में और अभी आगे यू विल सी अ लॉट ऑफ टर्म्स इन एनवायरमेंट. नीश है और दूसरा क्या है? इकोटोन. ठीक. नीश क्या था? यूनिक फंक्शनल रोल. यूनिक फंक्शनल रोल ऑफ अ स्पीशी. कहीं भी हो, किसी भी इकोसिस्टम में, इन एनी इकोसिस्टम, बी इट लैंड बेस्ड, वाटर बेस्ड, इकोटोन, कहीं पे भी किसी भी स्पीशी का यूनिक फंक्शनल रोल इज व्हाट? इट्स नीश. Can two species have the same niche? No. Whereas ecotone is different concept. Ecotone is means one ecosystem, another ecosystem, there is a transition zone. Okay. In this transition zone, what do you see? You see greater density of organisms, more variety of species, means these are more productive regions. ठीक है. हाँ, अब जो आप कह रहे थे यहां पे देखो, इकोटोन कैसे समझो, यहां पे कुछ स्पीशीज होंगी, यहां पे भी स्पीशीज होंगी, यहां पे भी स्पीशीज होंगी. इन सारी स्पीशीज का अपना 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 नीश होगा. तो नीश इज नॉट एन आइसोलेटेड कॉन्सेप्ट. नीश इज गोइंग टू बी फाउंड हियर ऑल्सो. दिस इकोटोन इज अ इकोसिस्टम बेस्ड कॉन्सेप्ट. वी नो व्हाट इज एन इकोसिस्टम. डिफाइन करो जल्दी से इकोसिस्टम क्या होता है. स्ट्रक्चरल एंड द फंक्शनल पार्ट ऑफ बायोस्फीयर. ओके, नाउ व्हेन आई से मैंग्रोव, मैंग्रोव में अभी मैं आपको जब इमेजेस दिखाऊंगा, मैंग्रोव्स बड़े अजीब तरह से दिखते हैं. दे वेरी डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ रूट्स. ओके, दैट इज अ सेपरेट पार्ट. उसमें जो स्पीशीज है, द नीश ऑफ दो स्पीशीज इज डिफरेंट. ठीक है. ओके, so we are saying H species organisms which primarily occur or most abundantly occur in this zone. These are all edge species. ठीक है. Till here are you able to follow? Again just to test your knowledge, एक और सवाल देखते हैं. 1 second. आराम से पढ़ो, एमसीक्यू सॉल्व करो. This is again a previous question. The people इसको just mention, let's say this is your question number 2. We have already done question number 1. Write down question 2 and dash your option. Online जो भी देख रहा है अभी, this is how you can answer this. अच्छा, बिफोर एंड ऑल्सो रिमाइंड मी, हैव टू जस्ट टेल यू स्पीशीज एंड पॉपुलेशन का एक डिफरेंस. ठीक है, दैट इज नॉट, अभी आई हैव नॉट डिक्टेटेड दैट, आई हैव टू टेल. 2. ठीक है, पीपल बताओ पीछे, रेज योर हैंड एंड टेल. पीछे आप पढ़ो, कर लोगे, आसान है, आराम से पढ़ो. चलो चलो आप आगे. अच्छा पीछे आप सी. ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, आप बी. ठीक है, और पीपल एवरीबडी इज ऑनलाइन, क्विकली अटेम्प्ट इट. उसके बाद आशुतोष, आई विल आल्सो टेल यू डाउट ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन वाला. ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन अभी आगे जो डिकम्पोजिशन हम देखेंगे उसमें भी इट्स ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. ठीक है, ठीक है. ओके, मेनी ऑफ यू हैव आंसर्ड. देखो, which of the following describes not only the physical space occupied by an organism. अगर सिर्फ यहां तक होता, which of the following occupies or tells the physical space, क्या होता आंसर. फिर हैबिटेट सही हो जाता. ठीक है, बट ऑल्सो फंक्शनल रोल, कीवर्ड सामने दिखा है, हमें यूनिक नहीं लिखा. ठीक है, बट फिजिकल स्पेस एंड द फंक्शनल रोल, विच मीन्स देखो फिजिकल स्पेस बहुत बड़ा हो सकता है, फंक्शनल रोल और दोनों चीज पूछी अभी छोटा हो जाएगा एरिया, which means you are talking about ecological niche in this area. अब दो और टर्म्स हैं. हैबिटेट क्या हो गया, हैबिटेट पूरा फिजिकल स्पेस है, बट देन व्हाट इज होम रेंज. चलो एक चीज, बेसबॉल में सुना है होम रन पढ़ते हैं. ठीक है, पर उससे फायदा नहीं होगा आगे. चलो चलो I'll tell you. देखो, नहीं, होम रेंज इज द बिगेस्ट एरिया. चलो आई गिव एग्जांपल. टाइगर्स का नाम तो चलो सुना ही होगा, टाइगर्स और स्नो लेपर्ड सुना है. ठीक है, टाइगर्स के लिए देयर इज अ वेरी फेमस, आई विल आल्सो टेल यू इन द क्लासेस, सेंट पीटर्सबर्ग डिक्लेरेशन. डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. टाइगर की देयर आर 13 टाइगर रेंज कंट्रीज. ठीक, 13 टाइगर रेंज कंट्रीज. सो दैट इज देयर होम रेंज, ह्यूज ग्लोबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. सिमिलरली फॉर स्नो लेपर्ड, they are almost distributed across 12 countries. That is the entire home range in that sense. ठीक है, so habitat is the physical space which they are going to occupy. Okay, and the functional role, अच्छा जब ये जोड़ देंगे, that is the habitat and home range also you understand. I gave you example of tigers. 13 tiger range countries are there. Is India among one? Yes. There are 12 snow leopard countries. India is also one of them. Okay, now again let us quickly remember why is the answer not ecotone. क्यों नहीं है. अब देखो, जो आपने सवाल पूछा, आपका ही डाउट यूपीएससी ने पूछा है. somebody could have been confused between niche and ecotone. ठीक है, सीधा सवाल है ये, एक्चुअल क्वेश्चन. व्हाई इज द आंसर नॉट ecotone. हाँ ठीक है, बिकॉज दीज आर टू डिफरेंट. हाँ बताओ. हाँ, क्योंकि फंक्शनल रोल की बात हो रही है इसलिए. हाँ बिल्कुल सही. ठीक है, ओके. हाँ आशुतोष, जो डाउट है, देखो, और जो ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन है, ऑर्गेनिक मतलब you are getting it from any of the organism. ठीक है, let's say organism dies, decomposes. I think your doubt is related to permafrost. मैंने permafrost में लिखाया था it stores a lot of organic carbon. ठीक, so let's say when any organism, it can be a plant, it can be an animal, when it dies या decomposition होता है तो जो भी remains है it is stored as an organic carbon. ठीक, now that remains is stored and उसके ऊपर पूरी freeze layer है, पानी पूरा freeze हो चुका है. अब when this stored या फिर जो let's say snow, it is getting melt, this organic carbon that will start to release. तो जो trapped methane है, the trapped carbon dioxide that will start to release. तो जहां पे भी आप पढ़ोगे, whenever you read this term, okay, organic, ठीक है, so here it is going to be a part of the living organisms, या it is derived by the living organisms. Okay, ठीक है, ठीक है, okay. Now just put a very small heading in note करके लिखो, वहां पे I'll tell you the difference between species and this population. You should also know. पहले तो just one line definition लिख सकते हो for species. Species में dash करके पहले तो definition कि because after this from the tomorrow class we'll also do the types of species. Okay, तो कौन सी species, keystone, etc. Very interesting topic. So write down when the members having similar genetic makeup. राकेश, this is a concept from tomorrow's class. कल करेंगे, आज के लिए वेट करो. हाँ, when the members have similar genetic makeup और सबसे and who can interbreed. Interbreed को कैपिटल में चाहे लिखो so that you remember. Similar genetic makeup but they can interbreed. अब आगे when I tell you big cats, दोनों में differences क्या है, क्या species है, वहां पे we'll go into even more detail. तो species के सारे concepts और अच्छे से खोलेंगे. Okay, so what we have said, members having similar genetic makeup, okay, who can interbreed and produce a fertile offspring are known as species. अभी के लिए if you just want, राकेश, remember keystone species वो species हैं जिनको हटाने से, when you remove them, there is a disproportionate impact on the ecosystem. We'll talk about it tomorrow, don't worry. हाँ, फर्टाइलर, आई थिंक वो कीस्टोन बताने के चक्कर में वो छूट गया. हाँ, फिर से सुन लो. When the members they have the same or similar genetic makeup, पहला, दूसरा interbreed और तीसरा can produce a fertile offspring. Offspring का मतलब पता है? अरे उन्हीं का बच्चा, मतलब they'll produce their own offspring. That is what we say. When let's say two species mate, तो they produce a offspring. उसको ऐसे बोलते हैं OFFSPRING. अच्छा, ऐसे if there is any definition जो नहीं समझ में आ रही तुरंत पूछो. I'll tell you the spelling also. ठीक है? ऑफस्प्रिंग क्या होते हैं? ऑफस्प्रिंग जैसे बच्चे वैसे मानो. ऑफस्प्रिंग इज किसी के जो भी स्पीशीज. हाँ, ओके, दैट इज वन. अब यहां पे लिखेंगे नोट करके, विल जस्ट डिफरेंस बिटवीन स्पीशीज एंड पॉपुलेशन जो मैंने अलग से आपको बताया था. दैट पॉइंट दैट शुड ऑल्सो बी क्लियर, क्रिस्टल क्लियर इन द माइंड. ओके, सो हियर जस्ट राइट डाउन इन डैश करके एक बार स्पीशीज करके. वन सेकेंड. स्पीशीज refers to all organisms that share similar characteristics and can interbreed regardless of where they are located. Just हाँ, all organisms that share similar characteristics and can interbreed. ये भी हमने लिखा है. This is again species, but I'm just telling you the difference. हमने एक लाइन ऐड करी, regardless of where they are located. So similar characteristics who can interbreed. Interbreed ये है, ठीक है, regardless of where they are located. ठीक है, full stop. Population refers to a specific group of individuals of that species population refers to a specific group of individuals of that species in a particular area, ठीक, और फुल स्टॉप करके एक और लाइन, हाँ, इंडिविजुअल्स ऑफ दैट स्पीशीज इन अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया. याद करो मैंने एग्जांपल में क्या बोला, रॉयल बंगाल टाइगर स्पेसिफिक टू, if it is in Sundarbans, but it can also be in Kaziranga, it can also be in other places. So if it is specific to a particular area, what is that? That is going to be that particular population, but species can be dispersed in many areas. तो population हमने क्या लिखा, specific to an area, and then full stop. बता रहा हूं, रुक जाओ, फुल स्टॉप करो, फिर लिखो population are location specific, population are location specific. हाँ, अब जो आपने बोला से कम्युनिटी में क्या होगा, मल्टीपल स्पीशीज विल कम, राइट, रिमेंबर हमें अदर ऐसे देखो, अरे जो ये तो वी विल सी दिस टुमारो. ओके, पॉपुलेशन सेम स्पीशीज थी, दीज आर डिफरेंट स्पीशीज. कम्युनिटी में स्पीशीज विल चेंज. हमने वी हैव जस्ट लोकेटेड और पुट स्पीशीज हियर, सॉरी स्पीशीज यहां पे रखी थी. अब आप समझ रहे हो, स्पीशीज सिर्फ एक सिंगल स्पीशी हो उसको इंडिविजुअल बोलते हैं, पॉपुलेशन किसको बोलते हैं, ऑलमोस्ट सेम कॉन्सेप्ट है बट एरिया स्पेसिफिक है. इतना सिंपल याद रखो, ठीक है, वरना बात तो स्पीशीज की ही हो रही है ना. एंड देन व्हेन यू हैव मोर ऑफ देम, बिगर एरिया, कम्युनिटी क्या है, मेजर माइनर है, फिर इकोसिस्टम है, स्ट्रक्चर फंक्शनल कंपोनेंट हो गया, राइट, इंटरेक्शन ऑफ बायोटिक एबायोटिक फैक्टर्स, बायोम्स है. एग्जांपल बताओ बायोम का, व्हिच आई टोल्ड यू, टुंड्रा बायोम में. और क्या बताया मैंने, टुंड्रा में ढेर सारा वेजिटेशन मिलता है, ट्रू और फॉल्स, फॉल्स, गुड. थर्ड इज एंड सुंदरबंस जस्ट एज एन एग्जांपल वी सॉ, हाँ टुंड्रा ऊपर, यस करेक्ट. एंड देन वी सॉ बायोस्फीयर, ठीक है. इकोसिस्टम में हैव यू आल्सो रिटन दैट इवन अ ट्री कैन बी एन इकोसिस्टम, आपने लिखा है ना, ठीक है, अगर नहीं लिखा तो इकोसिस्टम में ऐड कर सकते हो. इट कैन बी एज स्मॉल एज अ ट्री. So Rakesh, this keystone, so tomorrow when we start, so again after every class I also tell you what we'll do, and isse pehle just I'll take 5 minutes to recap everything that we've done. Okay, tomorrow the topic that we will do is we'll go into talk about species in more detail, and then very interesting topic of evolution, how the species evolve and what are the adaptations that they have. Okay, so first half we'll spread on the different type of species, but by the way jo species detail mein karenge wo third component mein karenge. In third, you have biodiversity. In that, you do species, and then you do species conservation. So, वहाँ पे I'll do it in a different manner. Here, I'll just introduce you what are the types of species are there. Okay. For example, foundation species, endemic species, sentinel. There are many type of species, right? वो अब देखेंगे, ठीक है? So now let us just yes, we can say that the scope of species is larger than the population. Absolutely, that is a fine inference. ठीक है? Now, if we were to just remember everything, so we just started with the definition of environment. Jaldi bata, what is environment? Everything that surrounds us, ठीक है, it has biotic and abiotic factors. Second thing, what is ecology? Study of interactions. What are the types? अच्छा, who gave the concept? Ernst Haeckel, ठीक है. ईयर कौन सा था अगर याद है तो, 1972 to 2024, ठीक है, 2024 नहीं है, ठीक है, ठीक है. दिस इज इकोलॉजी. व्हाट इज द टू टाइप्स? ऑटो, ठीक है, ऑटो कौन सा, टाटा का नहीं, सिंगल. एंड देन व्हाट इज थिन, दैट इज मल्टी, ठीक है. देन व्हाट इज, चलो बिफोर यू टॉक अबाउट व्हाट आर द लेवल्स, इंडिविजुअल, पॉपुलेशन, कम्युनिटी, इकोसिस्टम, बायोम, biosphere. Individual, easy to understand. I gave you the example of Great Indian Bustard. Where is it found? Mostly Rajasthan Desert National Park. By the way, it is also found in Gujarat. It is also found in parts of Maharashtra, even Andhra. So don't think that it is only found in one place. ठीक है, it's a bird. ठीक है, कभी कभी ये भी दिक्कत हो जाती है, आगे देखेंगे, ठीक है. So you have seen individual. You've also seen what is a population. Population और species में basic का difference है area specific. Population is area specific. ठीक है. Species को how would you define? What are the two keywords? similar characteristics, and they can interbreed and produce a fertile offspring. Okay, then you move to ecosystem. Two definitions I gave you. One, structural and functional part. Structure example, कुछ सोचो कैसे बताओगे? How would you explain it to me now? साइलेंस क्या हुआ? गुड, हाँ ठीक है, कुछ तो सोचा, आप बताओ कुछ और सोचो. ट्री, एंड ऑल्सो रिमेंबर स्ट्रक्चर में थिंक ऑफ अ फॉरेस्ट. हमने क्लास का एग्जांपल देखा था, फॉरेस्ट का देखा था, ठीक है. हाउ थिंग्स आर अरेंज्ड. हाँ बोलो बोलो. कुछ भी एनीथिंग. स्ट्रक्चर मीन्स हाउ vegetation species, how things are arranged, that is the structure of that. Functions of ecosystem, two main functions, energy flow and nutrient cycling. We will see that proper abhi aage dekhenge. That is there. Then you studied about acha, and then ecosystem is also the interactions between biotic abiotic factors, right? Then you have something known as biomes. Biomes ka kya keyword hai? Climate. Based on the climate we define the biomes, theek hai? Because then you will have the vegetation, you will have those animal types, plant types, etc. Tundra biome kahan pe hai? Arctic. और जिसने नहीं देखा, no issues, I'll also show you most probably in third or fourth lecture, but you have to go back and see in the map where would you find them. ठीक है. Then next thing, नहीं रुक जाओ. biome में we also saw Thar desert, we also saw Sundarbans. ठीक है. Then we move to biome. Life is possible, interaction of lithosphere, hydrosphere, right. Then we also saw cryosphere. Cryosphere is where we cry. नहीं, फिर हाँ, फ्रीजिंग, हाँ ठीक है, फ्रोजन. इसके चार कंपोनेंट्स थे. ग्लेशियर्स, आइस कैप्स. आई गिव यू द होमवर्क ऑफ सियाचिन ग्लेशियर्स. देन पार्मा, चल ठीक है. पर्मा इज परमानेंटली फ्रोजन. परमानेंटली फ्रोजन permafrost has stores of organic carbon. True or false? True. Permafrost, if it melts, can release methane. Yes. ये हम बहुत अच्छे से देखेंगे आगे, ठीक है. Then so we have done that. Then moving to last 2 or 3 terms. What is ecological niche? Unique functional role. Can, ठीक है, नहीं, physical space and that उसमें भी unique functional role. Then can two species have the same niche? No. ठीक है, पता है हमें. Then next thing is what is habitat and what is niche? Which is bigger? Habitat is bigger, niche is smaller, more restricted. ठीक है. Then you also, हाँ एक और चीज है, ecotone. What is an ecotone? Transition zone. Is it also a zone of tension? हाँ, zone of tension भी बोलते हैं, transition zone बोलते हैं. So you have two ecosystems. In between that you have a zone of tension. Then other than that, examples बताओ. हाँ, like estuaries. What is estuaries? When yes, when river meets sea. ठीक है, ये हमने याद किया. मैंग्रोव्स हैं. मैंग्रोव से हमें बस एक चीज क्या याद आएगी? ऑफ कोर्स, वन, मैंग्रोव आर इकोटोन्स. सेकंड, सुंदरबंस. सुंदरबंस आर वेयर? वेस्ट बंगाल. एंड वेस्ट बंगाल से हमें एक और याद आ रहा है, रॉयल बंगाल टाइगर. ठीक है. देन अनदर एग्जांपल वाज ग्रास लैंड्स आल्सो, रिवर बैंक्स आल्सो. देन बायोडाइवर्सिटी और द स्पीशीज डेंसिटी इज हायर और लोअर in ecotones. It is higher, which is known as edge effect, and there is also something known as edge species. ठीक है, ये सब समझ गए? Okay, and then I also gave you certain current affairs examples of Delhi air quality index, COP29, Great Indian Bustard में मैंने कुछ चीज बताई थी आपको, mascot कुछ याद आ रहा है? COP13 CMS Convention on Migratory Species. ठीक है, इतना भी अगर आपको याद है, that's excellent for the first class. Based on this, slowly and steadily we'll build on it. ठीक है. हाँ, गांधीनगर. गांधीनगर इंडिया में है या अजरबैजान में है? ठीक. अजरबैजान मैंने क्यों बोला? टॉप 29 ऑफ UNFCCC. अभी अगर नहीं याद आएगा तो अभी कुछ और क्लासेस हैं, लास्ट तक इतना रट जाएगा कि आप फिर लास्ट में आपको याद ही हो जाएगा. ठीक है. So that is how we'll go. Okay. So great. Any other question that you have in the online? हाँ. Tomorrow we'll start with species. हाँ. Home range नहीं, कौन सा? हाँ. Right. You can say that. हाँ, कह सकते हो. But you also know why is it wrong? हाँ, ट्री को इकोसिस्टम कैसे बोलेंगे? ठीक है. स्ट्रक्चर एंड फंक्शन. ठीक है. सो देयर विल बी वेरी क्लोज टू इट. मान लो कुछ क्लाइंबर्स हैं, वाइन्स, क्रीपर्स सुना है हमने, आगे हम पढ़ेंगे, these are some epiphytes, ये सब घर में जो होते हैं, मनी प्लांट एक्सेट्रा. So in a tree maybe there are some climbers, creepers etc, there are vines associated. One tree, why are we saying tree as an ecosystem? Tree also plays a very important role, and when I say tree, trees can be huge. Now trees will support, so tree के आसपास you will have bacteria and fungus, these are what, decomposers. Tree के आसपास you will have grasses etc. From a tree fruits will also fall down, you will have leaves, you will have some timber etc. तो यहाँ पे it is also supporting the animal species also, right? Third is sparrows, ठीक है, जितने ढेर सारे birds हैं, they will also visit trees. Trees will also have a lot of parasites, micro parasites also, ठीक है. So every type of species you can also find in a tree. So in that sense, यहाँ पे भी in a tree there are layers or zones. We also say that as stratification. Stratification is nothing but different layers that are there, right? So because of that, everything that you would generally find in an ecosystem वो यहाँ भी दिखती है. Okay, so ये कभी कभार ऐसे अलग से कहीं कहीं लिखा होता है, we don't understand, but also tree can be an ecosystem. So an ecosystem can also be as small as a tree because of various biodiversity that is found here. ठीक है. अब इसके बाद कोई भी डाउट्स हैं तो आई एम हियर, यू कैन आस्क मी, ठीक है. अदर देन दैट वील मीट टुमारो देन सेम टाइम. ओके, ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो अगर कोई ऐसे दिक्कत है तो बता सकते हो, ठीक है. अदर देन दैट वील मीट अगेन टुमारो, यूट्यूब ऑल्सो सेम टाइम 9. ओके, ग्रेट, वेलकम वेलकम वेलकम.